Hey guys, how are we? Just sort of do a quick video. Beautiful spring summer's day here, and yeah, just answering a few questions in regards to us leaving Europe, why we're leaving and where we're heading to. So we're going to head to Thailand once this property settles. It's the last property and it's gone on for about 4 months. The problem is the notaries have gone on strike. A lot of the documentation that we got early on has to be applied for again, and that means days of work lining up in taxation departments and just the craziness that is Europe. Ease of doing business here is non-existent. I think really what you want to look at is the ease of doing business index. Southeast Asia is a lot better, and Singapore I think is number 1 or number 2, and then other parts in Southeast Asia are a lot better for doing business and streamlining the process. Europe is like doing business in the 80s. Apart from Estonia, which basically has the digital e-residency, you're really not going to be able to do a lot in regards to ease of doing business here. The other thing is your VAT value-added tax, which is just extortion. Even importing your own goods from overseas, you've got to pay VAT on top of that. And they will hold your goods until you pay their exorbitant 24%. So if you want to do business, you want to be in Southeast Asia. If you want a good, easy lifestyle, you want to be in Southeast Asia, I think. That's my personal opinion. We moved to Europe initially so that we could get permanent residency or full-time access to Europe. But the European Union's made so many changes over the last 2 years that you can see the effects in the European currency. The euro has dropped significantly against the Australian dollar, the US dollar, and that's just going to continue to happen. Europe's on a self-destruction course, and I don't want any part of that. I certainly don't want to have any assets tied up in that process. So in regards to doing business and owning assets, get the heck out of Europe, liquidate now, because you're going to pay for it in the long run. Southeast Asia is going to be a lot better, I think. That's where the future is. And even in regards to their developments, they seem to be setting up a lot of developments that are geared around the way that people live nowadays in the 21st century. So for example, there's condos that they've set up, and they basically have co-working spaces with super fast internet. They've got gymnasiums and other bits and pieces that basically people use on their everyday life, rather than this backward sort of thing in Europe where they don't even maintain the exterior of the buildings. They don't maintain the infrastructure. For example, in in one of our properties, you can't flush toilet paper down the toilet. You got to put it in a bag, and the reason why is because the waste system here is about that thick, right? So the waste system here is basically from the 1900s, and for us to basically put a new system, a waste system, in a high-rise building is tens of thousands of dollars, because once you flush that poop, it builds up a lot of pressure. So you have to put pressurized systems in to mitigate all of the pressure from the waste going down. It's an absolute nightmare. That's what you're up against buying property in Europe. Now, if you're happy to buy property and sit on it and come to Europe for a bit of a holiday, absolutely. If you can lose the money. If you can't lose the money, don't buy. So at the end of the day, there's some great opportunities here. You will buy below the average sort of global cost of property. But can you afford it? Can you afford to hold an asset that you may not be able to liquidate for a long period of time? And if you buy the wrong asset, you're going to be caught holding that puppy for a long while. The real key is that we bought our property in a really good location. It's in probably the best location in Greece, and we knew that before we bought it. That's why we bought it, and we bought it at what we estimated the cost should be. Someone else basically posted on the Facebook group, should I rent before I buy? And I would say absolutely 100% of the time, never buy a property without living there first. And because you don't know what the place is like. You don't know, what's the crime rate like? What is the noise levels? What facilities are around there, and all the other bits and pieces. So certainly recommend that if you're going to buy anywhere, rent there first, get a feel for the place, know the neighbourhoods, and what the pros and cons are, and then buy. And the other thing is, over a period of time, you'll know what the fair asking price for a property is. And because a lot of these real estate agents, not only here in Greece, but also overseas, they'll try and rip foreigners off big time. So certainly go and find out what a lot of these properties are. Kick some tires, ask some questions, and get onto other alternative websites like Facebook Marketplace or some of the local real estate websites, because they'll give you an idea of what the locals are paying on price for properties. But in regards to doing business in Europe and buying property in Europe, you want to be very cautious. We were a lot more bullish with buying property here 3 years ago, and we're not so bullish on it now because of a lot of the policies that the European Union have put in place. It's just a complete nightmare. As I said, Europe is fantastic for a holiday. Absolutely atrocious to be stuck here trying to do business, managing funds. Like we spent a good whole day at the bank last week trying to organise one of our accounts. And we basically went to the first bank and they said, oh, no, this is your branch in this location. So we went to that location, lined up for an hour, and then they said, oh, no, you're not in this location. Your branch is in another location. So we had to go there. And then when we get there, then we realised, oh, you need to have all this documentation. At which point I said to my wife, we are not putting any money in this account. So I do not recommend Europe at all at this point in time until they can sort of really get things streamlined. I just can't see that. And there's also like an attitude of arrogance in regards to telling these people, hey, you need to do things differently here. And they will look at you with an absolute look of condescension, like, what the hell do you know? Meanwhile, the rest of the world is getting on, streamlining business, streamlining different processes to make life and business a lot easier. And Europe is in the 80s. It's literally like 1980s. So imagine going to a government department and people aren't allowed inside. You've got to line up outside, and there are queues, probably about 300-400 meters long. And that's what it's like here in Greece to say, for example, pay your water bill or to pay your electricity bill, not to mention your taxes. So absolute nightmare here. Would not recommend it at all. And as I said, Southeast Asia is a much better lifestyle, and I think Southeast Asia will fare whatever's coming, in regards to market correction, far better than Europe. So yeah, anyway guys, going to leave that there. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, do that, and go and join the discussion on Overseas Exile on Facebook, and yeah, we'll speak to you there.